God to me, growing up, was a spiritual being, but different people on earth were conveying his message. And I grew up very poor in a little farmhouse in Virginia, and my paternal grandmother raised me from the time I was an infant, and I would wake up on Sunday mornings to the sound of Oral Roberts on the TV. My grandmother was handicapped and on crutches. I never saw her walk in my lifetime. And so she didn't have a wheelchair, so she couldn't go to church. But I had a cousin that her daughter was like a year younger. She would come by and pick me up and take me to church. In fact, Cousin Mary has been out here many times to Texas, and she even, when I was a deacon before, she served communion with me one Sunday, which was one of her dreams before she passed. And so that helped a great deal. When you don't have an automobile and your main caregiver that you live with doesn't have an automobile, and so you're limited. But I expected ORU to be built on the property my grandmother owned when she died, but that certainly wasn't the case. That was just said and, you know, trying to be funny. But, you know, I don't think that how evangelists do some of that with begging for money on TV, but I know the people that receive the message are so grateful to hear the message. And I think it's on them how they use their money and use their influence over people. But I know it served my grandmother. It gave her lots of comfort her whole life up until he went off the air. But she was my mother, my father, my sister, and my brother. She was all of those to me. And I slept in the same bed with her up until the night before I got married. So that's how close we were. She loved God. That was her main thing in life, was prayer. And she taught me so many lessons from the Bible. She read the Bible numerous times a day and read it back to front numerous times. And I think that's where I got my religion from. I have never known a better human being to walk this earth than that woman. And I'm so proud she was my grandma. But she was my mama to me. So she was a wonderful grandmother, just a delight. She had a heart as big as this room. I think when my children were born was when I first had this epiphany of there's something greater in this world than just me and my prayers. That it is who I'm praying to, it's God, and He can change things in the blink of an eye. And I think He was instrumental through the help of my grandmother and her prayer partner to bringing my children home from the hospital, who were so little and born so early, so long ago. And we didn't have very much money when we first had kids, because number one, we had two very sick babies, and somehow God made everything available to us. It was bizarre. Kelly was on formula that was like almost over $100 a case because she had such liver problems, and they needed to have pre-digested formula for her. And one day, that formula just showed up on my front porch. A whole case, and luckily, she got so much better, she didn't have to have an entire case of it. So those things that There was no reason or no one I could pin it to, but it all came from God. And that was rough, loving God then. But my grandmother helped me through that and showing me what prayer does, especially with Kelly. Kelly was prayed home, and I will always truly believe that, and I feel God has been so instrumental in keeping me around for something, and I hope I can glorify His name and be a better person. I think you can always be a better person and think of others before yourself. Because I've only been sprinkled, and I grew up Presbyterian, I just feel like I've been waiting for the time to do it. I feel like to be submerged will be sealing the deal with God, that I'm fully devoted as a Christian. And I had enough health scares this summer to keep reminding me that God wasn't done with me yet, that I needed to put on my big girl pants and step up. And I feel that He has saved me numerous times over the summer, and I'm so grateful. And I just feel like I need to rededicate my life to our Lord. My name is Joy Mann, and I want to be baptized.